for Saturday, June 25th, 2022. Bum, 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 bum.
I want a girl who will mine for her diamonds. I want a girl who can sort a chest. I want a girl with shears that cut and swords that burn through zombie flesh. I want a girl who knows world generation, who crafts furrows and times her attack. She's modding her community. She's flying through the air. She's smelting out impurities and feeding her cat. I want a girl with a lectern and a full cauldron. I want a girl who logs in early. I want a girl who plays till late. I want a girl with unobstructed creativity who uses a tripwire to ruin your day. With shulker boxes organized and lustrous in a tone that will torch you like desert grass. Who crafts furrows and times her attack. She's smelting out impurities and feeding her cat. I want a girl with a lectern and a full cauldron. Whose shield is emblazoned. I want a girl with good enchantments. On some server we will meet incidentally. We'll start to talk as we shoot skeletons. She wants a spawn with biome convenience. She wants a spawn that's in good repair. She's changing her aim from wither to dragon. She's trading her archery for a trident that's self-repairing. I want a girl with a lectern and a full cauldron. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have the secret sails that would make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen strange sights, but the strangest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows, while he left his home in the South to roam round the pole God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day we were marching our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk spun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night as we lay packed tight in our roads beneath the snow, and our dogs were fed and the stars o'erhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me and Cat says he, I'll cash in this trip I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request. Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. Then he says with a sort of moan, it's a cursed code and it's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet ain't being dead, it's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair you'll cremate my last remains. A pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I would not fail. And we started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. Hey! There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried horror-driven with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh and it seemed to say, you may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true and it's up to you to cremate those last remains. Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I curse that load. In the long, long night, by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows. Oh God, how I loathe the thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow. And on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in. And I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and I hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Lebarge and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice and I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then here said I with the sudden cry, is the crematorium. From the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I hit the fuel high. The flames just soared, and the furnace roared. Such a blaze you seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. And the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy and I don't know why. In the greasy smoke, in an inky cloak, went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear. But the stars came out and they danced about. Here again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked and it's time I looked, and the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile, you could see a mile, and he said, please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plumtree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have the secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen strange sights, but the strangest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBanche. I cremated Sam McGee. The summer is past, but your days keep growing longer. There's no wind in your sails, but the storm's blowing stronger.
Walking hard, standing tall, keeping your head up through it all.
Fighting fires, spinning plates. Goodness, how did it get so late? Lay your head down and dream. Lay your head down and lay your head down and dream. Lay your head down and just let your mind flow downstream. Sprawled out in a moonbeam. Lay your head down and dream. Joe Hills is filmed before a live streaming audience.
That's us! Howdy, y'all. Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome to HermitCraft Saturday Night Grind. We are going to be doing some grindy, repetitive tasks on the server tonight while reading a novel. Last week, we read Chapter 1 of Bram Stoker's Dracula, so this week we're going to read Chapter 2. I'm going to jump right in and say, if you want to tip and support the show, y'all are the ones that make this possible. I don't make any ad revenue off the streams, so watch on any service you want. Jump on Twitch chat, YouTube chat, whatever. We've also got the Discord for the Patreon patrons. Thanks for supporting Patreon patrons. I gotta say, one of my favorite comments that I saw while I was setting up for the stream was, I love the new intro footage, or nice intro footage from Quirky, because I had the studio cam on and I had it superimposed over the thing here, hold on, let me see if I can set it up properly. Something a little bit like this, right? I had the studio cam on. Okay, so the thing is, the studio cam is not set up properly. I literally just got done installing a new shelf. I used to have one shelf in here that looked like that. Now I have two shelves that look like that. I just got done constructing the second shelf. The thing is, to get everything off, to get the first shelf moved into the corner, I originally thought I had room to move the, I thought I had room to put the new shelf between the first one and the corner. It turned out I needed to empty the first one, move the whole shelf, then build the second one. And so when y'all came in, the reason I put on an extra long song tonight is because I realized, I need to clear everything out behind me, or you won't be able to see the green screen. So, yeah, Mr. Hardluck is saying my new nickname could be Joe Two Shelves Hills. Okay. So, yep, so finally got that second shelf. I was originally supposed to go out today, but by the time I got done with the D&D game, the people I was going to meet up with were like, we got tired of the heat. We went home. It's not a good day to be outside after all, Joe. And I'm like, okay, well, I got stuff to do. So I got some of the stuff to do done. Packy says, isn't the point we don't get to see the green screen? Well, the thing is, though, if there's just a stack of boxes behind me, then that's a real legitimate problem. Okay. Stupendos says, Pinball Machine looks great. Thank you, Stupendos. So, if you aren't familiar with what we're doing on Saturday nights now, that's fine, because we literally came up with it, like, I don't know, last Saturday. This is not a time-honored tradition, but I have confidence it will become one, because I had so much fun last week. I want to do it again. Hey, we're getting some great messages here. Kind words from P. Marinkak, who says the latest episode was really well edited, Joe. And Andre Goechea says, I love this week's episode. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was, it was a lot. I bit off a lot with that editing of the video overlay, because there's some automated motion tracking stuff these days, but you end up, like, the motion tracking stuff is more calibrated for live action footage than Minecraft. So I still have to tweak a lot of things to get it to look right on the video overlay. So I will say that was 10 days between episodes. We've had, the last 3 episodes have had about 10 days on average between them. I am done with that. That is bad. Because one of the problems I run into is I have so much fun with my friends when I record episodes, or when we're just hanging out on the server. I end up with too much footage for a 10-day episode, right? So I had to cut out some great stuff with Cub and some of the other hermits that I really regretted not having room for. So my goal is to get back to a 5 to 7 day 5 to 7 day release cycle, and I've been making active steps to do that. One of those steps is this, where I'm like, every Saturday night I'm going to come in and I'm going to knock out a ton of grindy tasks that I know I have to do, just so that I know I have time set aside for grindy stuff every week, Saturday night. Now, some weeks, like, I'm going to be away at conventions, like PlayOnCon is coming up in July, so there won't be a Saturday night grind from PlayOnCon, because the internet there doesn't really support streaming very well. We tried last year because it was the same weekend as Draw for Charity, so I tried streaming from on location. But what ended up happening was that Badger Spanner had to stream from my camera account for the HermitCraft event there. And then NJ Coffee Junkie had to stream the HermitCraft Among Us event. We are going to have a HermitCraft Among Us event again this year at Draw for Charity, but it's a different week than PlayOnCon, thank goodness, or by intention, because I argued for that. But, yeah, we've already got 3 hermits, plus me, so I guess 4 hermits on the hook for HermitCraft and Friends Among Us. I can't say who the and friends are yet this year, but last year we had some people who worked for Mojang, some people who are also, like, YouTubers, streamers, people like that, that you might recognize. So, anyway, that is what we are working on. We got a lot going on in July, but yeah. So July, I probably won't do Saturday or the night of Draw for Charity. So during Draw for Charity, I'm kind of on the fence about how much I'm going to be streaming my normal shows, because in some ways it's a huge boon for the charity if I stream my normal shows and then send people over. But I also kind of feel bad for whoever's programming is scheduled at the same time as my normal shows, if that makes sense, because it's like I feel like I'm kind of directly competing with them too. So, there's little bits and pieces. But what I might intentionally do is during Draw for Charity, I would do like 1 hour chill streams or something. I'm gonna have to talk to the other folks involved. But anyway, so we have a lot to do tonight on this project. We have some brewing stand stuff to knock out. We have some resources to gather. But let's see. What else have we got going on? Oh, yeah. A little book called Bram Stoker's Dracula. Okay. I was going to make sure. I wanted to give the first PayPal tips a chance to clear before we really got into that, because I I don't want people to feel bad if they're waiting for their tips to clear and I'm like reading the book. Hey, welcome Technologic. Glad you could join us this evening. Yeah, NJ, I was just saying that Draw 4 and PlayOnCon are coming up. Excited for both of those events in July. And NJ is going to be at PlayOnCon this year for the first time. NJ is also a board member for Draw 4, so we're gonna be spending a lot of time together that weekend, NJ. Or those 2 weekends. Okay, so my day has been productive. Okay. Let's see. I think for right now I've basically got everything I need for this back box part here. Let's go ahead and empty out non-essential items and refill that first. Just so that once I start reading, I'm not going to have to come back here too often. Okay, so in terms of actual accessible blackstone, or the amount of blackstone we have right now, we got a salt there. Okay. Looking good. So. I'd like to think I'm going to be able to place blocks relatively easily while doing this. Now, is it actually maybe easier if I screw up to have this in my offhand so that I can just fix it? Now, then if I die, I really have to not... Or if I fall, I really have to not die. Welcome, Rotation. Wurongo says, in Beef's trading card game, which hermit do you think is most likely to have a card drawing ability? Well, Cleo is a great illustrator, so that would just make sense. But, okay, hey, we got our first tip of the stream rolling in from Jennifer, who says, howdy, Joe. Howdy, Jennifer. Thank you so much. That's going to get us 10 away from our next face camera expansion and our first face camera expansion. Appreciate you supporting the arts and my show in particular. Okay, welcome, Elijah, Thomas. Welcome, your regular Umez, Mittens, Rosalia, Etho. Happy Saturday, Etho. It's Saturday, right? I'm pretty sure it is. And Rosalia Tips 5, who says, I've been excited for Joe to stream. I was confused about Chapter 1. Chat said that Jono is likely a realtor. Okay, so Jonathan Harker is a realtor who, Dracula wants to buy property in London. Because, like, when Rich... You did. Perfectly. Etho says, howdy, y'all. So... Oh, yeah. It does that every night around this time. Don't worry. But yeah. So the thing is that, like, when minor royalty from other countries travel to, like, London or whatever, they don't stay in hotels. They would buy an estate or something. Or they would buy a townhome or something, you know, in advance of traveling there. So that way they could already have their servants and their furniture. Yep. It sure did. But what can we do? It sure did. At this point. Okay. So Dracula, so basically, Jonathan Harker knows that Dracula is a very wealthy minor royalty person from Romania, who wants to travel to London and is intent on buying property there in advance of his journey. And so Harker has been invited to Dracula's castle to lock down the details of that deal and discuss, you know, properties and things like that that would be viable. So, okay. Let's go ahead and keep working on this for a second. I think we got a good rhythm here. So, okay, I think we are about ready. I was so excited about Etho being back on. I didn't want to start the book in the middle of talking to him, but I think we are ready to jump into Chapter 2. Here is the URL for Chapter 2. And if you haven't read Chapter 1, Chapter 1 is basically just about Jonathan Harker traveling through Hungary and Budapest into Romania, and how when people find out where he is headed, they all seem very deeply concerned. We are currently 10 away from the next expansion, Augusty Gale. Yeah, Project Gutenberg. Oh, sorry. I'm so used to not posting chat. I'm so used to not posting links, because normally the links are fundraising links. Like, so I'm used to not posting the PayPal me links and the Patreon promotion links in the Patreon Discord. And then I forget to post other links. Sorry, Patreon people. People. Link up. Yeah, so y'all are welcome to read along if you like. So, it says only 3 minutes until the server restarts. I kind of feel like we should wait until after the server restarts, just because that's going to definitely throw off my cadence. So, yeah. That's not too bad. So we'll get started at 9 o'clock with the actual reading. Reading time. One last call for Dracula. Hope your fangs are sharpened here. Reading time. Hey, Jonathan Harker. Don't sleep here. Only sleep in your own room, Harker. Welcome, Eclogs. Glad you could join us. Oh yeah, I brought multiple beds this time, so that way I'd never be too far from one, because once the mobs start spawning, this area is, choto, dangerous. So we should have about 90 seconds till the server restart. Okay, we restart in 1 minute. Somebody says, what are you building? I am working on the back box for a pinball machine. Story time starts right after the server reset. So this is the back box. The translate will go up there. We're still working on the frame. Yeah, Nashville's not on Eastern Time. We're on Central Time. Can I give a quick recap about whatever happened last week? I just did. So if you missed the quick recap, you can probably get the Cliff's Notes for Dracula Chapter 1 somewhere. Sorry about that. But yeah. Hecklog says, it's cool how much this already looks like a pinball machine. Thank you. And there we go. There's the server nightly restart. Do. Gonna mute. Time to rejoin real quick. Hey, we got a tip rolling in for 20 from Katrina, who says, thanks for all the work you do. I always enjoy watching your streams. Thank you, Katrina. Boom. That is going to get us 15 past our next Face Camera expansion milestone. So here we go. It's time to say howdy, y'all. Grow Hills here, expanding as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee. Dee. Thank you very much, Katrina, for supporting the arts and my show in particular. So the thing is that the players would actually be the pinballs. Like, I'm going to build an elytra course inside of here, and it'll, like, start where the shooter rod is. Like, so if you've ever pulled the plunger on the right side of a pinball machine, you know how the ball is in the shooter lane on the far right? So the elytra course would start where the plunger shooter rod strikes the ball and drives it forward, and then you'd curve and have to navigate, like, through the pops and stuff. I think it's going to be really fun. I think it'd be cool to see Joe work with LAs. You know, I don't know. Tu y yo, el mundo está del pie. Go, go, gol. Ale, ale, ale. That sort of thing, maybe? Either way. Let's go ahead and pull this up now. Chapter 2. Oh yeah, if you missed it last week, I'm doing some voices. So the narrator voice, I'm using my far too serious voice, which I call my far too serious voice, but some of y'all call my work sona. So if you're like, wow, why is Joe getting so serious? It's like, this is far too serious. We're reading Dracula. Chapter 2. Jonathan Harker's Journal. Continued. 5th of May. I must have been asleep, for, certainly, if I had been fully awake, I must have noticed the approach of such a remarkable place. In the gloom, the courtyard looked of considerable size, and as several dark ways led from it under great round arches, it perhaps seemed bigger than it really is. I have not yet been able to see it by daylight. When the caleche stopped, the driver jumped down and held out his hand to assist me to alight. Again, I could not but notice his prodigious strength. His hand actually seemed like a steel vice that could have crushed mine if he had chosen. Then he took out my traps and placed them on the ground beside me as I stood close to a great door, old and studded with large iron nails, and set in a projecting doorway of massive stone. I could see, even in the dim light, that the stone was massively carved, but that the carving had been much worn by time and weather. As I stood, the driver jumped again into his seat and shook the reins, and the horses started forward, and trap and all disappeared down into one of the dark openings. I stood in silence where I was, for I did not know what to do. Of bell or knocker there was no sign. Through these frowning walls and dark window openings, it was not likely that my voice could penetrate. The time I waited seemed endless, and I felt doubts and fears crowding upon me. What sort of place had I come to? And among what kind of people? What sort of grim adventure was it on which I had embarked? Was this a customary incident in the life of a solicitor's clerk sent out to explain the purchase of a London estate to a foreigner? Solicitor's clerk. Mina would not like that. Solicitor. For just before leaving London, I got word that my examination was successful, and I am now a full-blown solicitor. I began to rub my eyes and pinch myself to see if I were awake. It all seemed like a horrible nightmare to me, and I expected that I should suddenly awake and find myself at home, with the dawn struggling in through the windows, as I had now and again felt in the morning after a day of overwork. But my flesh answered the pinching test, and my eyes were not to be deceived. I was indeed awake, and among the Carpathians. All I could do now was be patient and wait the coming of the morning. Just as I had come to this conclusion, I heard a heavy step approaching behind the great door, and saw through the beams the gleam of a coming light. Then there was the sound of rattling chains, and the clanking of massive bolts drawn back. A key was turned with the loud grating noise of long disuse, and the great door swung back. Within stood a tall, old man, clean-shaven save for a long white mustache, and clad in black from head to foot, without a single speck of color about him anywhere. He held in his hand an antique silver lamp, in which the flame burned without chimney or globe of any kind, throwing a long, quivering shadow as it flickered in the draught of the open door. The old man motioned me in with his right hand with a courtly gesture, saying in excellent English, but with a strange intonation, "Welcome to my house! Enter freely, and of your own will!" He made no motion of stepping to meet me, but stood like a statue, as though his gesture of welcome had fixed him into stone. The instant, however, that I had stepped over the threshold, he moved impulsively forward, and holding out his hand, grasped mine with a strength which made me wince, an effect which was not lessened by the fact it seemed cold as ice, more like the hand of a dead man than a living man. Again he said, "Welcome to my house! Come freely, go safely, and leave something of the happiness you bring." The strength of the handshake was so much akin to that which I had noticed in the driver, whose face I had not seen, that for a moment I doubted if it were not the same person to whom I was speaking. So to make sure, I said interrogatively, "Count Dracula?" He bowed in a courtly way as he replied, "I am Dracula! And I bid you welcome, Mr. Harker, to my house. Come in. The night air is chill, and you must need to eat and rest." As he was speaking, he put the lamp on a bracket on the wall, and stepping out, took my luggage. He had carried it before I could forestall him. I protested, but he insisted. "Nay, sir, you are my guest. It is late, and my people are not available. Let me see to your comfort myself." He insisted on carrying my traps along the passage, and then up a great and winding stair, and then along another great passage, on whose stone floor our steps rang heavily. At the end of this he threw open a heavy door, and I rejoiced to see within a well-lit room in which a table was spread for supper, and on whose mighty hearth a great fire of logs, freshly replenished, flamed and flared. The Count halted, putting down my bags, closed the door, and crossing the room, opened another door, which led into a small octagonal room lit by a single lamp, and seemingly without a window of any sort. Passing through this, he opened another door, and motioned me to enter. It was a welcome sight, for here was a great bedroom, well lighted and warmed with another log fire, also added to but lately, for the top logs were fresh, which sent a hollow roar up the wide chimney. The Count himself left my luggage inside, and withdrew, saying, before he closed the door, "You will need after your journey to refresh yourself by making your toilet. I trust you will find all you wish. When you're ready, come into the other room, where you will find your supper prepared." The light and warmth and the Count's courteous welcome seemed to have dissipated all my doubts and fears. Having then reached my normal state, I discovered I was half famished with hunger, so making a hasty toilet, I went into the other room. I found supper already laid out. My host, who stood on one side of the great fireplace, leaning against the stonework, made a graceful wave of his hand to the table and said, "I pray you, be seated and sup how you please. You will, I trust, excuse me that I do not join you, for I have dined already, and I do not sup." I handed to him the letter, sealed, which Mr. Hawkins had entrusted to me. He opened it and read it gravely. Then, with a charming smile, he handed it to me to read. One passage of it, at least, gave me a thrill of pleasure.
"I must regret that an attack of gout, from which malady I am a constant sufferer, forbids absolutely any traveling on my part for some time to come. but I am happy to say I can send a sufficient substitute, one in whom I have every possible confidence. He is a young man, full of energy and talent in his own way, and of a very faithful disposition. He is discreet and silent, and has grown into manhood in my service. He shall be ready to attend on you when you will during his stay, and shall take your instructions in all matters.
The Count himself came forward and took off the cover of a dish, and I fell to at once on an excellent roast chicken. This, with some cheese and a salad and a bottle of old Tokay, of which I had 2 glasses, was my supper. During the time I was eating it, the Count asked me many questions as to my journey, and I told him by degrees all I had experienced. By the time I had finished my supper, and by my host's desire, had drawn up a chair by the fire, and begun to smoke a cigar, which he offered me, at the same time excusing himself that he did not smoke, I had now an opportunity of observing him, and found him of a very marked physiognomy. His face was a strong, very strong aquiline, with a high bridge of the thin nose, and peculiarly arched nostrils, with lofty domed forehead, and hair growing scantily round the temples, but profusely elsewhere. His eyebrows were very massive, almost meeting over the nose, and with bushy mustache was fixed, with bushy hair that seemed to curl in its own profusion. The mouth, so far as I could see it under the heavy moustache, was fixed and rather cruel-looking, with particularly sharp white teeth. These protruded over the lips, whose remarkable ruddiness showed astonishing vitality in a man of his years. For the rest, his ears were pale, and at the tops extremely pointed. The chin was broad and strong, and the cheeks firm, though thin. The general effect was one of extraordinary pallor. Hitherto I had noticed the backs of his hands as they lay on his knees in the firelight, and they had seemed rather white and fine. But seeing them now close to me, I could not but notice that they were rather coarse, broad, with squat fingers. Strange to say, there were hairs in the center of the palm. The nails were long and fine, and cut to a sharp point. As the Count leaned over me, and his hands touched me, I could not repress a shudder. It may have been that his breath was rank, but a horrible feeling of nausea came over me. Which, do what I would, I could not conceal. The Count, evidently noticing it, drew back with a grim sort of smile, which showed more than he had yet done his protuberant teeth, sat himself down again on his own side of the fireplace. We were both silent for a while, and as I looked toward the window, I saw the first dim streak of the coming dawn. There seemed a strange stillness over everything. But as I listened, I heard, as if from down below in the valley, the howling of many wolves. The Count's eyes gleamed, and he said, "Listen to them! The children of the night! What music they make!" Seeing, I suppose, some expression in my face strange to him, he added, "Ah, sir, you dwellers in the city cannot enter into the feelings of the hunter." Then he rose and said, "But you must be tired. Your bedroom is all ready, and tomorrow you shall sleep as late as you will. I have to be away till the afternoon, so sleep well and dream well." With a courteous bow, he opened for me himself the door to the octagonal room, and I entered my bedroom. I am all in a sea of wonders. I doubt I fear. I think strange things, which I dare not confess to my own soul. God keep me, if only for the sake of those dear to me. Woo, okay, yeah, that for those of you coming in, we just finished reading the 5th of May entry, the first diary entry from Jonathan Harker's journal in Chapter 2 of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Let's see, we are currently 5 away from the next face camera expansion. We're actually about to change up what we're doing in-game real quick as well, because I just hit the end of this thing here. So, it is, let's see, trying to figure out exactly what I want to do with this. I think that what I need to do is actually come back one extra block here and then come up. Okay, so yeah, this is... So the actual back of the cabinet is where? The actual back of the cabinet is there. So the actual back of the back box is going to start here. Okay. Now, of course, in all of my frantic re-changing everything in the room, somewhere I put down my notebook with the actual dimensions of what I need to do tonight. So let me grab that real quick. But in order to make that more enjoyable for y'all, I can go ahead and let's see if we can reactivate this. Hey, is that... There's the terrible projector camera. So somewhere with this, like I said, I just put in a second shelf today. Somewhere over here, I have placed down on the ground or on a shelf or somewhere my notebook. Hey, found it. Okay, all ready. Woo! That was nice and quick. So we can just turn that ring light back this way. Turn the ring cam off. Okay. So 52 blocks from the edge is where this next part needs to go. Am I doing the power cable in the modern stern style or back of the mini cab? So, hey, welcome Flipstream. So the way that this is based on my my TNA that I'm renting, and so I am following Spooky's lead on this. But yeah, the TNA cabinet, because it's so much shorter than the stern ones, since I'm building it all the way to the build limit in Minecraft, this up here, this is as tall as you can build in Minecraft now. That means I didn't have to plunge it as deeply into the sea. So yeah, I'm following the Spooky TNA 1.0 for the cabinet. The actual playfield and art, I'm gonna custom design some stuff myself, because this is kind of part an engineering project, getting to do a lot of research about how pinball machine components work. I know a little bit about electronics because my dad was always teaching me stuff when I was a kid, but this is a chance to really dive back into that. And then I used to be an illustrator as part of one of my old day jobs, and so I'm gonna design my own like art for the sides of the machine, the translight, the playfield, that sort of thing. So it's basically a 1-to-1 cabinet model of TNA, with the exception of the topper, but it's going to be its own playfield design, its own theme, all that. So for right now, though, I'm just figuring out. I measured out where the warning label begins on the back of TNA. Which would be 52 blocks from here, I think. Yeah. And so, as you can see, the easiest way to count stuff out in Minecraft is just have 52 blocks and just go. So the label would start directly above that. TNA is Total Nuclear Annihilation. Yeah, that's a pinball machine designed by Scott Denisi and produced by Spooky Pinball. They produced about 550 units, and I'm currently renting one, so I can easily measure all this stuff for reference on the fly. Stephanie Hall says, great new episode, Joe. Thank you. I am really proud of how that one came out, but I'm going to warn y'all. We're going to start doing... I for my own sanity, I need to not do 10 days between episodes because the episodes get so big by the end. Like, at that point where I go that far, I'm like, well, I can't just I want the episodes to be more focused, right? And so once we start doing, like, here's an episode about an individual component of the pinball machine. And then, so it's like, we'll have, hey, today we're going to talk about how LEDs work. And let's look at how LEDs are used in modern pinball machines. And then here's how the control boards for the LEDs are wired. And then, oh, hey, let's go see what B-Dubs is doing for a few minutes. Or here's a few minutes of Scar, right? So I'm going to try and have, like, really focused individual episodes about the components, like, but, you know, then have a few minutes of, like, hanging out with people. George Harris says you could do hour-long episodes like Doc. These 25-minute episodes are too much for me. Because trying to find ways to tie everything together thematically is too challenging. So, yeah, we're going to learn about AC-DC power conversion. We're going to, you know, all that stuff. Stephanie Hall says, I thought it was very balanced and entertaining. Thank you. But it was exceptionally difficult to get it to that point. Like, that episode probably... Like, I need to figure out how to get episodes turned around with maybe 10 to 12 hours of editing, not 20 to 30. Like, that... The amount of time I spent editing that episode was not sustainable, if that makes any sense, especially once my kid gets back. Because right now she's gone for the summer to hang out with the other side of the family. But when she comes back for the school year, I really can't keep letting my video production schedule slip so much. Gusty Gale says, can't wait to see the multi-ball function in your TNA Minecraft. You know, actually, that'd be funny if part of the Elytra course is I yell multi-ball on proximity voice, and then, like, a bunch of other people fly out. Yeah, please don't yell in all caps there. Makes it harder for me to moderate. Hunter says, just caught the latest episode. Immaculate as always. Thank you. Pink Tulip Flower says, hopefully not streaming Wednesday will help. Yeah, that was one of the only reasons I was able to get this thing out this morning. But realistically, just the number of hours I spent getting the last 3 episodes out was too many hours. Like, I need to refine my process. If I want to have an episode out every week instead of every 10 days, I need to refine my process. It's one of those things like, you know, first you get fast, then you get good, then you get good and fast, right? So I started off being very fast at making YouTube episodes, and I've been practicing getting good at making YouTube episodes, but I need to get good and fast. Because, like, I feel like, you know, as much fun as y'all have at the streams every night, a lot of people only watch the full episodes, and they're, like, sending me messages like, hey, man, it's been more than a week. What's up, you know? Like, you know, and it's like, I'm still here. I'm making the episodes. You can watch the streams, but, like, that's not, you know, the streams are not for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, it's kind of one of those things where I need to strike a balance. And the other thing is that getting more episodes out quicker means that I get to include more of the interactions with the other hermits, that I'm just like, oh, this is too distracting to go in the middle of this 30-minute episode. But, like, if I'm just doing, like, a 15-minute episode, I'm like, oh, this is a fun way to wrap up the episode, is, like, something goofy and kind of out there. Because, like, the goofy and kind of out there stuff, you can have one of those per episode, but you cram, like, 8 goofy and kind of out there interactions in an episode, and it's just, like, it's just too random, right? Hey, Gusty Gale, thank you for the 2, who says, here's $2 for the 2 chapters. Appreciate you, Gusty. That is going to put us 3 away from the next face camera expansion. Night Shit Out Lies says, do people actually message you asking why there isn't a new video? Yes, they do. Sometimes they do it in the YouTube and Twitch chat, even during the streams, but sometimes they they post comments on old videos. And I have to review the comments on old videos because otherwise spammers will leave bad links there. And, you know, so. Well, Lakshmi13 says that her kid was talking about the value of quality over quantity. Well, the thing is, for me, I'm trying to strike a balance because I'm throwing out good footage of fun interactions because it breaks up the flow too much of a 25 or 30 minute episode. And like with a 15 to 20 minute episode, those interactions are just a fun way to wrap things up a lot of times. And so it kind of helps things feel more fun and communal if I optimize the pace of the episodes around embracing the nature of the server, right? You know, so it's finding the right fit for the story you're trying to tell or the place you're trying to tell about, right? So, you know, that's kind of where we are. So Gusty Gale, thank you for tipping 3, who says, here's 3 just because. Thank you very much. That's going to get us evenly to our next face camera expansion milestone. So here we go. It's time to expand. If you've never seen a Joe Hill stream before, just so you know, every time we hit a tipping milestone, the camera does get bigger. Empty Calorie says you could do those interactions as a bonus episode, maybe. It doesn't... people don't like that as much. That is an option, but the better option is I should design the structure of my series around the sort of people I'm working with and the interactions we have, rather than just trying to say like, I'm just gonna jam this in, like upload it randomly whenever, right? Like I've been doing this for 10 years now. I know what works and what doesn't, and it's just a matter of structuring my schedule so I can do what works better. Maybe do the interactions as clips. No. But so once again, that's just, I don't know. Yeah, bonus episodes, clips, that's not, like, the thing is, those fun interactions are the heart of HermitCraft. They're the spirit, the joy, they're what makes HermitCraft powerful and good. And so posting them as a separate afterthought, rather than structuring my main series around celebrating those moments, is a flawed plan. Like, though. So that's what I'm saying is, like, and one of the reasons that this is a slightly new challenge for me is because I'm recording at the same time as other hermits more often than I used to in the past. It used to be I didn't and the voice proximity mod too is a new thing that we didn't have in the past. So it's accelerated the rate at which I'm generating incredible footage with my friends, right? So I'm having to adapt what I'm doing around the new scheduling reality and around the new proximity chat reality, right? Mad Hatter says, knowing Etho, he probably logged out so he can come back in and scold me if I don't greet him. Yeah, probably. But yeah, so that's the thing, is I'm trying to... I've been paying attention to what works and what doesn't, to what footage I regret not including the last few months, and trying to figure out how to reshape things to better fit it. And the short answer is more episodes that are smaller chunks of projects, right? So like those tunnels and building this back box, all 3 of those things took me 10 days of just recording time. That's too long. Whereas like when we come in to do the pinball machine and we're like, hey, let's talk about pop bumpers, right? We could make the we could make the pop bumper like demo units at different scales and show off how they work and stuff, and turn that around as like a self-contained thing, right? And be like, you know, that's what's popping over here. But meanwhile, I stopped over at Rendog's or, you know, Pearlescent Moon's place, and wow, here's what's going on over there. You know, that sort of thing. So you see, it would work a lot. So like as we get the structure of the machine in place and we start switching our focus to the components, we're gonna make kind of a tone shift here that I think is gonna be really great. So okay, so I think we're into a good rhythm here. And I think we're about ready to go back to Dracula. I was just giving it a second to see if any tips rolled in, but it looks like we have stabilized. Empty Calorie says, is your mind completely set on 25-minute episodes? No. No, not at all. My point is, though, that once you get past 15 or 20 minutes, things start getting... In order to keep the pace functional beyond the 20-minute mark, you have to kind of change how you structure the episode, and you have to cut out different things. Like, basically you go... It makes it harder to include some of the things I want to include that doesn't move the action forward, right? It's harder to just feature a lot of palling around once it gets that long, right? Because people's attention starts to wander faster. So that's what I'm saying, is the 25-minute episodes are so the 25-minute episodes, if I included everything I wanted to have in them, would be a 40-minute episode. So I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to take the 25-minute episodes and chop them in half to make 2 13-minute episodes or 2 12-minute episodes. You'd probably end up with 2 18-minute episodes, where a lot of the good stuff that I'm having to cut from the 25-minute episodes, it basically lets me be more economical with my use of footage. Does that make sense? So the goal is, if I've got 40 minutes of good footage, put out 2 15 to 18-minute episodes instead of 1 25-minute episode. Because you don't have to make as many hard choices if you pace it that way. But in order to do that, for the episode to feel self-contained, you have to have kind of a heart of the episode, like, hey, today we're learning about LEDs, or today we're learning about pop bumpers. And the scale of those things needs to be small enough that I don't take 10 days to build it. If I'm like, today we're building 30 tunnel segments, well, that's not today we're building 30 tunnel segments. That's for the next 10 days we're building 30 tunnel segments, right? And that's a hard thing, right? The other thing is, when you're reviewing the footage, of a longer episode, like as you start approaching 25 to 30 minutes, it's harder to maintain your own attention on editing, and you're more likely to miss problems, and then you spend more times rewatching everything. Because, and it's like, it's weird, but basically the longer something gets, the harder it is to maintain the focus of the work as well as the focus of the editor. So you just run into sprawl issues, basically. But like, yeah. One of my focuses has always been with my episodes showcasing the palling around that doesn't make it into other people's series, because they were the ones doing the huge episodes where they couldn't afford to fit in the palling around, right? And now I'm having the same problem as them, and I'm like, I'm leaving too much good footage on the cutting room floor, right? So, yeah, it's a nonlinear workload for video length, exactly. So it's just, I gotta look at making sure that I'm starting the episode with a goal that I can complete recording in 4 days, right? If I'm setting a goal for myself that will take 10 days to build, I have set myself up to fail on day 1 of recording that episode. And I've done that 3 episodes in a row now. I've spent the last month starting things that are 10-day projects. And that's really been harmful to my sleep schedule and my work schedule. It's not ideal. And it's the sort of thing I can experiment with more easily while my daughter is away for the summer. But like, I need to have this figured out by the time she gets back, right? Doesn't YouTube track how long people stay and watch the vids? Yeah, it does. Is it tracked by 8-minute segments? Not to my knowledge, Stephanie. So mid-roll ads and stuff are kind of assigned based on like 8-minute segments, but I don't really do mid-roll ads on most of my videos, so that doesn't affect my revenue. Hey Tabris, we just finished the May 5th segment of the journal, so there's different days in the journal, and we got sidetracked talking about the process and what we're working on. But yeah, but also having this grindy day chunk every Saturday set aside is going to be helping me make sure that I stay on track too. So long videos please the algorithm gods if you do a lot of mid-roll ads, but I also don't do a lot of mid-roll ads. I almost do none. So YouTube's actual revenue per minute on my videos is worse than other people's, so YouTube doesn't want to promote the videos. Thanks, the algorithm. So, okay. I think we are about ready to switch into the May 7th reading. So we just finished May 5th. The journal jumps ahead 2 days. And I'm sure we'll find out why May 6th was omitted when we get there. But do we have any other questions, tips, anything like that rolling in the meantime? Okay. Doesn't look like it. Okay. So once again, I'm using my far too serious voice for the thing. Fala Galara says, do the live streams benefit you more than the videos themselves? Oh, absolutely. Like, in terms of revenue, the live streams are definitely most of my revenue. I make almost no money off YouTube ad revenue. But some of my Patreon patrons have explicitly said that the reason that they spend $5 or $10 a month on me on Patreon is because they enjoy my YouTube videos. Okay, yeah, don't ask spam questions. That's a ban. You're spamming a question 3 times that's intrinsically a spam question. You're gone. So Fallstar says your intro for the last episode was flawless. Thank you. I spent, oh my gosh, I spent probably 8 to 10 hours on just the video compositing for that intro alone. Like, they're just... the thing is, I kept running into weird edge cases because I was using a bunch of techniques I was already familiar with, but I was using them in slightly different ways than I had before, and I kept running into problems, and it's like, okay, it looks right when I'm doing it, but then when I encode it, the testing code is having problems, and so it's like, yeah. So I think I figured out a few things that should make that faster in the future, because we're going to need to do a lot of video compositing for the pinball machine, for showing the parts. Okay. Sawyer Kettler says that's a long time for just the intro. You're right. It was a long time for just the intro. Luckily, I could be working on that while, like, Replay Mod was rendering stuff. P. Marenkak says, when you had the cursor over the video, I was like, yeah, wow, that's a lot of work. Yeah, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. I actually had to curtail... Originally, I was going to have myself and the baby zombie moving between the viewer and the screen while the video was playing behind us, but, like, I was just like, nope. This is too much. I'm out of time. I'm out of time. Gotta get it done eventually. So, Miss Canuck says, your episode today was great. The screens turned out so well. Thank you. But, yeah. Mahi says, when Pearl has too much between episodes, she injects some... Well, here's some other stuff that happened, and it was things we saw 7 days ago on other channels. So that's the other problem with having the episodes come out every 10 days, is I'm like, oh, here's a funny interaction with B-dubs. And everybody's like, well, B-dubs showed that 7 days ago. And I'm like, well, maybe I included different jokes than him. And people are like, well, I don't care. I skipped it anyway because I saw the B-dubs version. Okay, that looks like an attempt to... post a URL, so that's just going to be a ban. If your first message is you trying to circumvent the URL blocker, you're going to get banned. Okay. But yeah, I really need to get the interactions with the other hermits out in a timely fashion. Hey, Super to Beans. I hope you had a... Oh, you said you had a fun time. Awesome. I was going to say, I hope you had a fun time, but you did it! Good job, Super to Beans. I hope you had a fantastic Pride. Jar of Pennies says, I rarely skip parts even if I've seen them before. Well, thank you, Jar of Pennies, but that's not true for everybody. You know, and so I try to be... I try to be aware of the value of people's time. And, like, so, for example, if Doc had a segment where he interacted with me... I'll try to cut mine in such a way that it's entirely, or as much as possible, different footage. That was one thing I didn't have time to do this week with Jevin. So, like, I'm not sure which jokes he kept in and which ones he didn't, but, like, my goal was, like, I just got to get this through as quick as possible to show that this moved along. Because, oh my gosh, look at how big this is! We're nowhere near done. Okay. But yeah, a lot of the people who support the show via tips on the stream or via Patreon do it because they know that I don't make ad revenue off the YouTube episodes and want to support me a different way. So I'd be letting them down if I was like, well, I make my money when I stream, so I don't have to do YouTube. That's not how it really works, you know? Like, I like making the episodes. Even though editing requires a lot more focus and is difficult in other ways, making the episodes is a different kind of art. And I want to be able to make something I'm proud of with those. And so, yeah. Nightshade Owl says, do you and the other hermits compare footage or notes on keeping different jokes or moments in? No. We are the least coordinated people in the world. If I want to know something like that, I have to wait until the other person's video goes out. Because if I messaged Doc or Scar or something, it was like, hey, which of these things are you keeping in? They'd get back to me after it was live and go, oh, sorry, I was editing and wasn't looking at my messages. Because one of the only ways to actually edit is to just shut everything else down. Like, getting distracted during editing is not helpful at all. So... Daniel says, if people skip certain parts of your videos, do you notice or see it somewhere? There is a way to see it, but I don't normally look at that because I don't have time. I have no interest in learning about Lightmatic on Mahi Zero. That doesn't seem like the way I want to work. That's like if like, I don't know, like, let's say I was doing a painting stream and you're like, oh man, just wait till Joe learns about inkjet printers. It's like, I don't really need to learn about inkjet printers. Like, I'm sure they're fine for some people, but that's just not how I want to work. You know? Oh no, are we going to run out of these before we get done? Oh. We haven't even started May 7th yet. And we are low on Blackstone. That's okay. We do have some other grindy tasks to work on. But, okay. Elijah says, when I have enough money, I'm planning on supporting you on Patreon. That's very kind of you, Elijah. Don't stress out about that in the meantime, though, because, like, when I was in school and then I was paying off my educational debt, I had no money to support the folks who made cool stuff that kept me sane, and I supported them, like, a decade later when I could afford to, but, like, they made stuff for free on the internet, and the folks who could afford to support them did, and that's the model I'm using here, too. So never feel guilty. I'm happy that I can make things that people can enjoy for free. Yeah, we're probably going to go potion brewing after this. So let's go ahead and start reading the 7th of May. Jonathan Harker's journal, 7th May. It is again early morning, but I have rested and enjoyed the last 24 hours. I slept till late in the day and awoke of my own accord. When I had dressed myself, I went into the room where we had supped and found a cold breakfast laid out, with coffee being kept hot by the pot being placed on the hearth. There was a card on the table on which was written, "I have to be absent for a while. Do not wait for me. D." I set to and enjoyed a hearty meal. When I had done, I looked for a bell so that I might let the servants know I had finished, but I could not find one. There are certainly odd deficiencies in the house, considering the extraordinary evidences of wealth which are around me. The table service is of gold, and so beautifully wrought that it must be of immense value. The curtains and upholstery of the chairs and sofas, and the hangings of my bed, are of the costliest and most beautiful fabrics, and must have been of fabulous value when they were made, for they are centuries old, though in excellent order. I saw something like them in Hampton Court, but there they were worn and frayed and moth-eaten. But still, in none of the rooms is there a mirror. There is not even a toilet glass on my table. And I had to get the little shaving glass from my bag before I could either shave or brush my hair. I have not seen a servant anywhere, or heard a sound near the castle, except the howling of wolves. Some time after I had finished my meal, I do not know whether to call it breakfast or dinner, for it was between 5 and 6 o'clock when I had it. I looked about for something to read, for I did not like to go about the castle until I had asked the Count's permission. There was absolutely nothing in the room, book, newspaper, or even writing materials. So I opened another door in the room and found a sort of library. The door opposite mine I tried, but found it locked. In the library I found, to my great delight, a vast number of English books, whole shelves full of them, and bound volumes of magazines and newspapers. A table in the center was littered with English magazines and newspapers, though none of them were of very recent date. The books were of the most varied kind: history, geography, politics, political economy, botany, geology, law, all relating to England and English life and customs and manners. There were even such books of reference as the London Directory, the Red and Blue Books, Whitaker's Almanac, the Army and Navy lists, and it somehow gladdened me to see it, the Law List. Whilst I was looking at the books, the door opened, and the Count entered. He saluted me in a hearty way, and hoped I had a good night's rest. Then he went on. I am glad you found your way in here, for I am sure there is much that will interest you. These companions, and he laid his hand on some of the books, have been good friends to me, and for some years past, ever since I had the idea of going to London, have given me many hours of pleasure. Through them I have come to know your great England, and to know her is to love her. I long to go through the crowded streets of your mighty London, to be in the midst of the whirl and rush of humanity, to share its life, its change, its death, and all that makes it what it is. But alas, as yet, I only know your tongue through books. To you, my friend, I look that I know it to speak. But, Count, I said, you know and speak English most thoroughly. He bowed gravely. I thank you, my friend, for your all too flattering estimate, but yet I fear that I am but a little way on the road I would travel. True, I know the grammar and the words, but yet I do not know how to speak them. Indeed, you speak excellently. Not so. Well, I know that. Did I move and speak in your London? None there are who would not know me for a stranger. That is not enough for me. Here, I am noble. I am boyar. The common people know me. I am master. But a stranger in a strange land, he is no one. Men know him not, and to know not is to care not for. I am content if I am like the rest, so that no man stops if he sees me, or pause in speaking if he hear my words. Ha ha, a stranger! I have been so long master that I would be master still, or at least that none other should be the master of me. You come to me, not alone, as agent of my friend Peter Hawkins of Exeter, to tell me about my new estate in London. You shall, I trust, rest here with me a while, so that by our talking I may learn the English intonation. And I would that you tell me when I make error, even the smallest, in my speaking. I am sorry that I had to be away so long today, but you will, I know, forgive one who has so many important affairs in hand. Of course, I said all I could about being willing, and asked if I might come into that room when I chose. He answered, Yeah, certainly, and added, You may go anywhere you wish in the castle, except where the doors are locked, where, of course, you will not wish to go. There's reason of all things as they are, and did you not see with my eyes and know with my knowledge, you would perhaps better understand. I said I was sure of this, and then he went on. We are in Transylvania, and Transylvania is not England. Our ways are not your ways, and there shall be to you many strange things. Nay, from what you have told me of your experiences already, you know something of what strange things there may be. This led to much conversation, and as it was evident that he wanted to talk, if only for talking's sake, I asked him many questions regarding things that had happened to me, or come within my notice. Sometimes he sheered off the subject, or turned the conversation by pretending not to understand. But generally he answered all that I asked most frankly. Then, as time went on, and I had got somewhat bolder, I asked him of some of the strange things of the preceding night. As, for instance, why the coachman went to the places where he had seen the blue flames. He then explained to me that it was commonly believed on a certain night of the year, last night, in fact, when all evil spirits are supposed to have an unchecked sway, a blue flame is seen over any place where treasure has been concealed. That treasure has been hidden in the region through which you came last night. There can be but little doubt, for it was the ground fought over for centuries by the Wallachian, the Saxon, and the Turk. Why, there is hardly a foot of soil in all this region that has not been enriched by the blood of men, patriots, or invaders. In the old days, there were stirring times when the Austrian and the Hungarian came up in hordes, and the patriots went out to meet them, men and women, the aged and children too, and waited for their coming on the rocks above the passes, that they might sweep destruction on them with their artificial avalanches. When the invader was triumphant, he found but little, for whatever there had been was sheltered in the friendly soil.
But how can it have remained so long undiscovered when there is a sure index of it, if men but take the trouble to look?
The Count smiled, and as his lips ran back over his gums, the long, sharp canine teeth showed out strangely. He answered, "Because your peasant is at heart a coward and a fool. Those flames only appear on one night, and on that night no man of this land will, if he can help it, stir without his doors. And, dear sir, even if he did, he would not know what to do. Why, even the peasant that you tell me of, who marked the place of the flame, would not know where to look in the daylight, even for his own work. Even you would not, I dare be sworn, be able to find these places again."
There you are right. I know no more than the dead where even to look for them.
Then we drifted into other matters.
"Come, tell me of London, and of the house which you have procured for me."
With an apology for my remissness, I went into my own room to get the papers from my bag. Whilst I was placing them in order, I heard the rattling of china and silver in the next room, and as I passed through, noticed that the table had been cleared, and the lamp lit, for it was by this time deep into the dark. The lamps were also lit in the study, or library, and I found the Count lying on the sofa, reading, of all the things in the world, an English Bradshaw's Guide. When I came in, he cleared the books and papers from the table, and with him I went into the plans and deeds and figures of all sorts. He was interested in everything, and asked me a myriad of questions about the place and its surroundings. He clearly had studied beforehand all he could get on the subject of the neighborhood, for he evidently, at the end, very much knew more than I did. When I remarked this, he answered, "Well, but my friend, is it not needful that I should? When I go there, I shall be all alone, and my friend Harker Jonathan, pardon me, I fall into my country's habit of putting your patronymic first. My friend Jonathan Harker will not be by my side to correct and aid me. He will be in Exeter, miles away, probably working at papers of the law with my other friend, Peter Hawkins, so..." We went thoroughly into the business of the purchase of the estate at Purfleet. When I had told him the facts and got his signature to the necessary papers, and had written a letter with them ready to post to Mr. Hawkins, he began to ask me how I came across such a suitable place. I read to him the notes which I had made at the time, and which I inscribe here.
"At Purfleet, on a by-road, I came across just such a place as seemed to be required, and where was displayed a dilapidated notice that the place was for sale. It was surrounded by a high wall of ancient structure, built of heavy stones, and has not been repaired for a large number of years. The closed gates are of heavy old oak and iron, all eaten with rust. The estate is called Carfax, no doubt a corruption of the old Quatre Faces, as the house is four-sided, agreeing with the cardinal points of the compass. It contains in all some 20 acres, quite surrounded by the solid stone wall above mentioned. There are many trees on it, which make it in places gloomy, and there is a deep, dark-looking pond, or small lake, evidently fed by some springs, as the water is clear and flows away in a far-sized stream. The house is very large, and of all periods back, I should say, to medieval times, for one part is of stone, immensely thick, with only a few windows high up, and heavily barred with iron. It looks like part of a keep, and is close to an old chapel, or church. I could not enter it, as I had not the key of the door leading to it from the house, but I have taken, with my Kodak, views of it from various points. The house has been added to, but in a very straggling way, and I can only guess at the amount of ground it covers, which must be very great. There are but few houses close at hand, one being a very large house, only recently added to, and formed into a private lunatic asylum. It is not, however, visible from the grounds.
When I had finished, he said, I am glad that it is old and big. I myself am of an old family, and to live in a new house would kill me. A house cannot be made habitable in a day. And, after all, how few days go to make up a century. I rejoice also that there is a chapel of the old times. We Transylvanian nobles love not to think that our bones may lie amongst the common dead. I seek not gaiety nor mirth, not the bright voluptuousness of much sunshine and sparkling waters which please the young and gay. I am no longer young, and my heart, through the weary years of mourning over the dead, is not attuned to mirth. Moreover, the walls of my castle are broken. The shadows are many, and the wind breathes cold through the broken battlements and casements. I love the shade and shadow, and would be alone with my thoughts when I may. Somehow his words and his look did not seem to accord, or else it was that his cast of face made his smile look malignant and saturnine. Presently, with an excuse, he left me, asking me to put all my papers together. He was some little time away, and I began to look at some of the books around me. One was an atlas, which I found opened naturally at England, as if that map had been much used. On looking at it, I found in certain places little rings marked, and on examining those, I noticed that one was near London, on the east side, manifestly where his new estate was situated. The other two were Exeter and Whitby on the Yorkshire coast. It was the better part of an hour when the Count returned. Aha! Still at your books? Good, good, good. But you must not work always. Come, I am informed that your supper is ready. He took my arm, and we went into the next room, where I found an excellent supper ready on the table. The Count again excused himself, as he had dined out on his being away from home. But he sat as on the previous night, and chatted whilst I ate. After supper I smoked, as on the last evening, and the Count stayed with me, chatting and asking questions on every conceivable subject, hour after hour. I felt that it was getting very late indeed. but I did not say anything, for I felt under obligation to meet my host's expectations in every way. I was not sleepy, as the long sleep yesterday had fortified me, but I could not help experiencing that chill which comes over one at the coming of dawn, which is like, in its way, the turning of the tide. They say that people who are near death die, generally, at the dawn or the turn of the tide. Anyone who has, when tired, and tied it, as it were, to his post, experienced this change in atmosphere, can well believe it. All at once, we heard the crow of a cock coming up with preternatural shrillness through the clear morning air. Count Dracula, jumping to his feet, said, "Why, there's the morning again! How remiss am I to let you stay up so long? You must make your conversation regarding my dear new country of England less interesting, so that I may not forget how time flies by us." And with a courtly bow, he quickly left me. I went into my own room and drew the curtains, but there was little to notice. My window opened into the courtyard. All I could see was the warm gray of the quickening sky. So I pulled the curtains again and have written of this day. Okay, so that was May 7th. Before we jump into May 8th, we're going to hang out for a little bit and talk about what we read. We are reading Bram Stoker's Dracula. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/Joe Hills and YouTube Super Chat. We are 40 away from the next face camera expansion. Okay. So let's see what we are working on here. We are currently in the process of making potions. And we don't have... because basically at this point, I'm going to need more potions. And I'm going to need them quicker than I can buy them. Like, I've killed so many magma cubes in the process of working on those tunnels that it's no longer justifiable for me to keep paying Cub for fireproof potions. Also, it sounds like Jevin and Asuma will need help with their tunnel, and that might be an HHH thing on Monday. So I want to make sure that we have plenty of potions ready. Okay. So, welcome back, Harrier Hawk. Okay, so let's go ahead and see who we need to thank from our hydration break list. I have not been drinking my drink quickly enough. I'm starting to feel it a little bit. Oh, welcome back, Scar. Where did I type that? That was not in this window. But yeah, I was gonna say I need to finish my drink and go refill it before we start the next day too. So we're gonna chill and give me time to do that without chugging it, because that won't be helpful. Chloe the Great and Powerful Tips 3, who says, "I'm loving Dracula so far, even if I was late." You know who else is late? The late Count Dracula. Oh! Thank you, Chloe the Great and Powerful. That puts us now 17 away from the next face camera expansion. Okay. So, let's see. Fire resistance. So, we are working on that. Go talk to Scar. Well, I'm in the middle of reading Dracula. You don't believe I'm in the middle of reading Dracula? I mean, you can rewind the VOD. I'm like 70 minutes into reading Dracula. You can really just do your own research. Don't let other people tell you what to think. Oh my gosh, that's a new skin. Whatever Scar is doing probably has spoilers. That's adorable. Yeah, I'm really in HermitCraft. The shopping district is over there. This is my mega build. I don't know what if you, like, I don't know, go read the HermitCraft wiki. I've been here since week 5 of season 1. I'm the first person invited to join the server who wasn't a founding member a decade ago. I'm the original new guy. So, like, I don't know. Like, I don't expect people to know everything about HermitCraft. Why do you think you know everything about HermitCraft? If you're like, I'm a scholar of HermitCraft, I have a PhD in HermitCraft history, and I've never heard of you, that's way different from going, hey, I'm really ignorant and want to make that someone else's problem. Right? Like, why would you do that? Why would you make your ignorance someone else's problem? People are here to hang out and watch me work on my mega build and read Dracula, not to watch me mock and ban you. So I'm just mocking you right now. But, you know, like, I can't have people disrupting the chat while I'm trying to read Dracula. So get in line. Because we're going to move on to 8th of May once I refill my drink. I need to do a hydration break shortly and see who we need to thank for that. Looks like Quirky requested the binge watch wrap. That one's kind of short, but we'll get that queued up. That one's only 3 minutes long, but that's time. I have time to run to the kitchen and back. So awkward potion, magma cream. How many more days? Okay, day 8. Okay, May 8th is the last day of this chapter. So we're making good time. I was a little worried. I was like, how close are we to the end? So we've read about 2/3 of the chapter. A little bit more, actually. This one, maybe we've read 3/4. It looks like the 8th of May is the shortest entry in the journal. Yeah, that's the thing, is if I drink too fast, I get too much carbonation and then I'm burping. Which is fine if I'm the Beetlejuice, but we're still a good ways away from the Beetlejuice. Yeah, that's my favorite part of the Beetlejuice, is I can drink my soda as quick as I want. I don't have to pace myself. You're welcome to sub if you like, Jordan. I mean, I'm an obnoxious and in-your-face person. Increasingly in your face as people tip, because the camera actually gets bigger. So, no, I've got soda tonight. Need the caffeine. Like I said, I had a busy day getting these new shelves. I was supposed to go hang out with Sean earlier, but apparently everybody that I was going to meet up with was just like, okay, it's insanely hot. We've been outside since 10 a.m. We're going home. And I'm like, no, I just got free. But I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I still need to build this shelf. We are $17 away from the next face camera expansion, Roselia. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/Joe Hills and YouTube Super Chat. So, but Sean was like, no, we're hanging out tomorrow too. So I don't have to miss out. Jordan says, I don't know how you guys start these mega builds. Well, first, you build a little structure to house it. So this is my pinball. This pinball is at the same scale as the pinball machine that is the mega build, right? So we're working on the back box here today, primarily. This was just a wireframe like 4 days ago. I got a ton of Blackstone from trading with Tango Tech. Hey, Hunter, thank you for tipping 20, who says, and now Joe is about to become even more in your face, the hermit of crafts. That's right. If you've never seen a Joe Hill stream before, you might not realize that the camera gets bigger every time we hit a tipping milestone. Please direct your attention down here to the lower left so I can say, expand Joe. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Alrighty. Thank you very much, Hunter. We are now 17 away from the next face camera expansion. So I appreciate you supporting the arts and my show in particular. Okay. So, yep. So this pinball down here is the scale of an actual pinball that would fit inside the machine that is my mega build. And we've got the back box started. If you're looking for a sense of geography of where I am on HermitCraft, I am due south of the shopping district. Basically, it goes shopping district, my mega base, and then the world border. So there's Gigalogs, and then my starter house is just on the other side of Gigalogs here. This little haunted house here is actually based on Elvira's House of Horrors, which is a pinball machine that I enjoy playing a lot. And the machine, the pinball machine has an actual model of this house in it. And can I see green spider? I think we flew over it. There, yeah, there's green spider right there. How are we for rockets? We're not doing great on rockets. Here's Gigalogs. We should probably get back so that we can actually keep going. Welcome 20 Kidster 20. Glad you could join us. Okay. Is the world border smaller this season by a wide margin? Whenever we know there's going to be a big update coming shortly after the season launches, we try to get the world border really close. So if you want to get a sense of how close the world border is to the shopping district, like there was my base, and then the world border is right around, should be coming into, it's really hard to see. Can you see it in the water there? Oh, it's easier like if I'm diagonally along it, but like it's just out of render distance from my pinball machine, basically. Okay. Yeah, we don't talk about the personal affairs of other hermits. If there's not news about somebody on Twitter, there's not news about somebody here or in their videos. But yeah, don't spam questions about other hermits, like, or you're going to get timed out for spamming. But yeah, it's just me and Scar online right now. Packy says, Dracula being so chummy is hilarious given that you know it's Dracula. Well, but that's the thing, though, is that, like, Dracula is, like, if you're reading Dracula for the first time, right, in, like, the serial form when Bram Stoker's initially publishing it, right? Dracula being very friendly and familiar is creepy in a particular way. Why am I'm like, I feel like there's something I'm supposed to be doing. It's like, am I supposed to be going to bed? No, I'm supposed to be getting rockets. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. Let's get rockets. But yeah, Dracula being a nobleman who is so familiar and demanding of one's time is like, it's just like red flag day. Like, if you're a realtor and a nobleman takes an interest in you like this, or a lawyer. So Jonathan Harker is like he's technically what's called a solicitor. That's basically a lawyer. That's the British word for lawyer. He's a real estate lawyer. And so that's the thing, is like, if I could do a good Bill Murray voice, I would do Dracula as Bill Murray from Groundhog Day. Kind of this idea where he's he's been around so long, he's mostly talking to entertain himself, right? But there's like a mirth in his comments. He's very sarcastic or friendly, but he's almost being patronizing, right? You know, and Bill Murray is great at that. I can't do a Bill Murray voice. Yeah, I'm streaming on YouTube and Twitch. And I've also got a Patreon Discord chat open. So I've got 3 chats open. Okay, now that we've actually finished our drink, before we move on to our next segment of Dracula, which is the May 8th, the 3rd day in Jonathan Harker's journal in Chapter 2, I'm going to go ahead and thank Quirky for supporting the show via Patreon at $20 a month. $20 a month patrons and above get to pick a song that they'd like to request once a month as the hydration break song from my repertoire. Here is a song I wrote the lyrics to. It's a parody of the Ninja Rap from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, arranged and performed by my magnificent sibling, Sean Hills. Here we go. It's the Binge Watch Rap. I'll be back with a fresh drink in about 3 minutes. Thanks, Quirky.
With a green glass screen, play some blocks per hand, it's the Hills Extreme. Have you ever seen a Yo's expand? Grown and shown up with your demands, yeah. Everybody subscribe, Sean Hills is here to promote his bro live. Placing blocks all over the place, all powered by a vegan with jump boost and haste. Brother, I'll watch him let's play and excavate with Joe, all the views I'll say it. Binge watch, HermitCraft, binge watch, HermitCraft, binge watch, HermitCraft. Joe. Go binge watch, Joe. Go binge watch, Joe. Go binge watch, Joe. Go binge watch, Joe. Stream it. Fill in your gaps, check live feeds and load up HermitCraft. Watch it on any size screen. Back it up to clone redstone machines just building. With dry concrete powder, wetting it down for a much smoother towel. Cause on this tube there's only one server. The whitelist is closed, so don't inquire further. Neighboring players compete on their stores. HermitCrafters you love with improv rapport, you just binge watch, HermitCraft, binge watch, HermitCraft, binge watch, HermitCraft. Joe. Go binge watch, Joe. Go binge watch, Joe. Go binge watch, Joe. Go binge watch, Joe. Joe. Viewers, you better click subscribe because today we're building that hype. Comment, your praises don't fail. Sean Hills on a roll with HermitCraft details. Singing out loud the way it should be sung with the Nashville sound that you like for fun. You know it's live now like a HermitCrafter. Read the description, tweet about it after. The hour of the Hermit is nigh. Churning out videos y'all will like. Binge watch, HermitCraft. Binge watch, HermitCraft. Binge watch, HermitCraft. Joe. Go binge watch, 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 Joe. Binge watch, HermitCraft. Binge watch, HermitCraft. Binge watch, HermitCraft. Joe. Go binge watch, Joe. Go binge watch, Joe. Go binge watch, Joe. Go binge watch, Joe.
Howdy, y'all. Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome back from our hydration break. We are going to go ahead and review. We have read 2 of the days of Jonathan Harker's journal from Chapter 2 of Dracula so far. Thank y'all for joining me for that tonight. Flexi C says, I went to a wedding once and they danced to this. Probably the original, though. Not this version. Yeah. If you're playing this at your wedding, that's fantastic. But yeah. Okay. Let's see. I am indeed back. Thank you. Dun. Okay. Probably the original. Descrom says, I like your glasses. Thank you. I'm very happy with them. Okay, so the sun's about to set. The plan is now we need to keep... we need a ton of these potions of fire resistance. We are running low on redstone, though. I want to get all the materials out before we really start the... Whoops, that's not how you do it. I want to get the materials out before we start reading, so that way I can just kind of go on autopilot. Hopefully, this is a little bit more involved than the other task, but it's still something that we got to get done. And yeah, so let's go ahead and read May 8th, or 8th of May, in Chapter 2 of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Chapter 2 is excerpts from Jonathan Harker's journal. There is a link there. And as the kids say, let's go! 8th of May. I began to fear, as I wrote in this book, that I was getting too diffuse. But now I am glad that I went into detail from the first, for there's something so strange about this place and all in it that I cannot help but feel uneasy. I wish I were safe out of it, or that I had never come. It may be that this strange night existence is telling on me, but would that were all. If there were anyone to talk to, I could bear it, but there was no one. I have only the Count to speak with, and I fear I am myself the only living soul within this place. Let me be prosaic, as far as the facts will be. It will help me to bear up, and imagination must not run riot with me. If it does, I am lost. Let me say at once how I stand, or seem to. I only slept a few hours when I went to bed, and feeling that I could not sleep any more, got up. I had hung my shaving glass by the window, and was just beginning to shave. Suddenly, I felt a hand on my shoulder, and heard the Count's voice saying to me, "Good morning!" I started, for it amazed me that I had not seen him, since the reflection of the glass covered the whole room behind me. In starting, I had cut myself slightly, but did not notice it at the moment. Having answered the Count's salutation, I turned to the glass again to see how I could be mistaken. This time, there was no error, for the man was very close to me, and I could see him over my shoulder. But there was no reflection of him in the mirror. The whole room behind me was displayed, but there was no sign of a man in it, except myself. This was startling, and coming on top of so many strange things, was beginning to increase that vague feeling of uneasiness which I always have when the Count is near. But at the instant I saw that the cut had bled a little, and that the blood was trickling over my chin, I laid down the razor, turning, as I did so, half round to look for some sticking plaster. When the Count saw my face, his eyes blazed with a sort of demonic fury, and he suddenly made a grab at my throat. I drew away, and his hand touched the string of beads which held the crucifix. It made an instant change in him, and the fury passed so quickly that I could hardly believe that it was ever there. Take care how you cut yourself. It is more dangerous than you think in this country. Then, seizing the shaving glass, he went on. And this is the wretched thing that has done the mischief. It is a foul bauble of man's vanity. Away with it! And opening the heavy window with one wrench of his terrible hand, he flung out the glass, which was shattered into 1,000 pieces on the stones of the courtyard far below. Then he withdrew without a word. It is very annoying, for I do not see how I am to shave, unless in my watch case or the bottom of the shaving pot, which is fortunately of metal. When I went into the dining room, breakfast was prepared, but I could not find the Count anywhere. So I breakfasted alone. It is strange that as yet I have not seen the Count eat or drink. He must be a very peculiar man. After breakfast, I did a little exploring in the castle. I went out on the stairs and found a room looking toward the south. The view was magnificent, and from where I stood, there was every opportunity of seeing it. The castle is on the very edge of a terrible precipice. A stone falling from the window would fall 1,000 feet without touching anything. As far as the eye can reach is a sea of green treetops, with occasionally a deep rift where there is a chasm. Here and there are silver threads where the rivers wind in deep gorges through the forests. But I am not in heart to describe beauty, for when I had seen the view, I explored further. Doors, doors, doors everywhere, and all locked and bolted. In no place save from the windows in the castle walls is there an available exit. The castle is a veritable prison, and I am a prisoner. Thus concludes chapter 2 of Jonathan Harker's journal in Bram Stoker's Dracula. You know, and so, like, this is the sort of thing, like, I feel like in a lot of modern retellings of things like Dracula, they're like, well, the audience knows that Dracula's scary, so they don't focus on trying to make him friendly, right? In the original, though, the reader is supposed to suspect that Dracula is off, right? But, like, you know, it's the sort of thing where, you know, you've got to be, like, it's the sort of thing where the reader isn't supposed to know how much trouble Jonathan Harker is in, right? Because Dracula didn't exist when this story was written. This story is Dracula, right? You know, so the setup is crucial. No, Dracula is not super family friendly. That's why we're reading it late at night. But yeah. So that's the thing, though, is like with Romeo and Juliet or with Hamlet, you know, when you have the opportunity to take your kids to these plays, you don't say, oh, here's a play where and then you describe the ending. People should go into Shakespeare blind. People should go into all of these, or these stories were written to be gone into blind, right? Like, so Dracula being overly friendly is intentionally off-putting because a nobleman acting this friendly, that's weird. That's not normal. That's bad, right? And so, like, yeah, there's a lot of red flags here for a reader of the original when it first came out, but, like, Hydra Headhunter says Romeo and Juliet literally spoils the ending at the opener. Well, yeah, but, like, yes, you know what I mean. Like, you don't need to be like, you don't need to say like the whole plot. It's like, okay, fine. So some ancient grudge broke to new mutiny. That's fine. But, like, we still want to see how it goes. Devin Krates says, I had no idea Dracula had such a strong real estate angle before this. But yeah, that's the thing, though, is, like, you don't, like, when I want to see a movie, I don't want to be told what the movie is about. I want to be told if the movie is worth my time, right? So I went and saw Everything Everywhere at Once, which is now available on streaming and stuff like that, finally. And it's one of those things where people are like, Joe, you'll like this movie. It's weird, and it's good. And I was like, don't tell me how it's weird or why it's good. You're people whose judgment I trust, and I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to go in completely blind. And it was a good experience. And I have no doubt that it will become a modern classic, and a lot of people will be unable to go into it blind. But if you have the option, definitely do it. Grammar Nerd says, I literally know nothing about Dracula except for the fact he's a vampire. Exactly. But, like, that's the thing, though, is a contemporary reader wouldn't necessarily know, what does that mean? Like, they might suspect, okay, the book is called Dracula, and it's some sort of horror thing, but what manner of terror is this Count Dracula? How safe is Harker? And here's the other thing, is as ominous as this story is, in terms of, like, hey, Harker feels like he's in increasing amounts of danger, the people this book was originally written for, can anyone here guess who the original target audience... Yeah, please tell me in all three chats, who do you think was the original target audience for this book? Right? Who's the original target audience for this book? This story. When Bram Stoker wrote this story, Blaze Gert guesses teenage girls. Nepeta says Victorians. Packy also guesses teenage girls. Real estate agents guesses Devin Crotties. Hunter says posh English people. So the people saying Victorians and English people. So that's the thing. Is this whole thing about him inviting a real estate agent in and being interested in England. That's actually part of, so for me, when I'm reading a book like this, I don't care that Dracula is going to England, right? But everybody who's like, oh no, there's this creepy guy and he's like being weird with this realtor and stuff, right? But like the real like looming over the horizon threat is, oh, this guy is taking advantage of Jonathan Harker, not just because he's going to prey on Jonathan Harker, but because he's going to use Jonathan Harker to come to London. So when you're writing for an audience that primarily lives in London and its surroundings, right? This is more. This is building on that. Hunter points out it's an Irish author writing about a posh Englishman having a horrible time. So it's like, so part of what's ominous here isn't just Dracula being creepy minute to minute, but the fact that Dracula has been preparing for years, it seems, to come to England. And so it's like, so this guy is planning an attack here on their home country. And so then the question is like, when people are reading these first few chapters, they're going to see this kind of like, this is kind of a drama of like, okay, is this guy going to realize he's being taken advantage of and stop him from attacking his homeland, right? Or is Dracula like is this going to, because like if you've seen the movies or you've read the book, you know that Dracula comes to London later. But if you haven't, there's actually part of the tension is, can Jonathan Harker figure out what's going on and stop him before England itself is imperiled? I fixed it, pink tulip flower. P. Merrick says, wow, spoilers. Sorry. No spoilers, Joe. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's the thing is I'm kind of breaking this down. I'm ruining the thing that I said is like going into these things blind is valuable. And like but my point is though, like Dracula here is creepy because he's so friendly. And so you don't need to just have Dracula be like this super spooky, terrifying, like, I've come to eat your face. I want to take your face off guy right at the beginning, right? Pinball Pitball rating with a party of 7. Well, what a coincidence. I'm actually inside a scale model of a pinball right now. You know what I'm going to do real quick? I'm going to turn off the followers only chat so that we can say hello. Hold on. Followers only chat temporarily disabled for the Pinball Pitball people. Pinball Pitball. That's a hard name to say. So this is a scale model of a pinball. And you might say, Joe, yeah, that's a sphere. Why would you build it at that particular scale? Well, the reason is because we're building a scale model at the same exact scale for this pinball machine. I'm basing the cabinet on total nuclear annihilation, but the art and play field is going to be fully custom. This is going to be about a year-long project. This is intentionally a long-term project here. And basically, every centimeter on the real total nuclear annihilation cabinet is 2.4 blocks in Minecraft or so. And that way, it works out such that the play field will be 128 blocks wide and roughly 256 blocks deep, which if you're not familiar with Minecraft, in Minecraft you can make maps of certain areas. So I have this very rough map here that we actually need to update. Let's update this map. I've been working on the back box here since I last worked on this map. So you can see the map is now filling in with the bottom of the back box. We've got the anti-reflective treatment plywood there. We can go back out through here. Whoa. But yeah, so when this is actually done, I'll be able to use these, whoops, not rockets, don't put rockets in there. I'll be able to use the maps to make like a model of the playfield down here. But yeah. It is a pretty big model, but I play on a server with a lot of really creative people who work on gigantic scale stuff anyway. Like the shopping district on our group server. Oh, I'm the only person online right now. Wow. I'm surrounded by other creative people. Here's our pumpkin shop. Our pumpkin shop has a giant jack-o'-lantern hanging on a crane here. We've got a spider that sells things with a broken water wheel on its back. We've got a wasp selling beans for some reason. Like, I don't know. Everybody does gigantic stuff. So anyway, Pitball Raiders, thank you for coming on in. But yeah, I am very excited about this pinball machine design. Right now, I'm mostly doing some kind of tedious behind-the-scenes stuff. My YouTube episodes shows, like, the real condensed, like, hey, look what we're doing. Okay, now it's done. You know, time skip. But when I yell time skip, then I hang out on stream for 3 hours being like, okay, now we got to make some lava-proof potions. Now we got to go dig stuff in places where lava will fall on us. You know, that sort of things. Yeah. Pinball Pitball says, this has got to be by far the coolest thing I've seen in Minecraft. Oh, thank you. You're far too kind. I am lucky to play on a server with a lot of incredibly artistic and creative people, and we all push each other. And, yeah. So I am having a lot of fun. What were you streaming pinball tonight? What game were you playing? I should get back here so I can keep making my fireproof potions. But yeah, we were also reading Dracula tonight while I did boring, tedious stuff because it's in the public domain. Batman 66. Oh, awesome! I played some of that at the Gatlinburg Pinball Museum. They had a Like, I think they had a limited edition. I think it was number 88 was the bat gadget was the insulated bat clippers. So it was either collector's edition or limited edition. It's whichever one had the custom gadgets on it. I gotta say, the Gatlinburg Pinball Museum is weird because the machines are not well kept, but they're all super high-end collector's edition stuff. I like, it seems like the sort of thing like somebody died and their son inherited it and then just like put them all. They're like, this building used to be full of escape rooms. Let's fill it with my dad's really expensive pinball machines, but then not know how to take care of them. Like, they had a Beatles where like the rubber one of the upper playfield area, like between two of the star posts, like the rubber was just snapped. And I'm like, that's like, take off the glass, 2 screws, new rubber, you're done. Like, I could do that. Like, so yeah, it's weird. I'm lucky in Nashville that we have like Game Terminal and a bunch of other places that take way better care of their machines than that. But like, that was the biggest single collection of like LEs and collector's edition ones I've seen, was the Gatlinburg Pinball Museum. But I haven't done a lot of pinball travel yet. I'm trying to figure out if I can do a District 82 trip at some point. Do I know Chris the Pintern? I know he works at Game Terminal, but I've never... Well, here's the weird thing, is like, I might have like talked to him without realizing it, because like I talked to the people in like, sometimes I'll be like, hey, there's a stuck ball or whatever, but I don't know the names of the people that work there, right? Because I'm just like usually there with my kid. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I'm not really connected well with the local pinball scene, because when I go places to play pinball, I'm usually there with my 9-year-old. And so like, I'm kind of making sure that she doesn't like get lost or run off, you know, rather than being like, hey, let's talk about, hey, what are you doing there? You know, Chris runs the tournaments. Which tournaments does he run? Because I don't think there are tournaments at Game Terminal. There's Game Galaxy, there's East Nashville Bowl, and there's No Quarter are the 3 tournaments that recur regularly in Nashville that I've seen. And I talked to... So the guy who runs the No Quarter weekly strikes tournaments is Tyler, not Chris. So that's definitely not him. But, yeah, I've been to Game Galaxy several times, but I haven't been down there on a tournament night, because those are my, like, Pathfinder nights. They do their tournaments every Tuesday. And Eastern Bowl, they don't put their tournament start time on the IFPA page. Apparently you have to have Facebook. So, like, I really needed to just phone them up and ask them. But, like, I looked at it last week whenever they had it, and I was just like, if they don't want to post the time, I don't, like, I've got enough other stuff I'm behind on with work, because I'm self-employed. So it's like, I'm always behind on something. It's like, oh, they didn't post the time, I should just stay here and edit anyway. But, like, I'm hoping in a future month to actually get out there. So, but yeah, I've participated in my first 2 tournaments this summer. And so, let me see, I've got my IFPA app on here. So I am now the proud owner of how many, let's see how many IFPA Whopper points I have. My stats. I have 0.85 Whopper points after 2 events, but you know what? That's how you get started. So, but I'm having fun. I'm having a blast. So, yeah. But yeah, that's funny, because like, after the first event, I was up to 18,500th in the world on rank. But after getting the second event, I'm up to 13,530th. So it's like I jumped like 5,000 slots just by doing a second event. I have a feeling it's going to get a lot harder. Pinball Pitball says, I broke into the top 100 this year. Oh, congrats. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get anywhere near it. Do you mind if I ask who you are on the IFPA rankings? Because, like, it's weird because normally you don't want to ask streamers, like, what's your real name? But I use my real name for streaming. And, like, my IFPA thing is my real name, too. So, like, I don't feel like that's non-reciprocal. But if you don't want to say, please don't. But, yeah. Like, because, yeah, I know that's really hard to break into. You're 95th. Oh, awesome. I've got the app up. Okay. Oh, yeah, I see you. And I'm not going to say your name right now. But let's see. Oh, that is a really great picture. Yeah, my picture is ludicrous. But yeah. Yeah, I was just like, I don't know what to put, because, like, the picture, that's your wedding photo. If I have another wedding, I'll update my IFPA profile. I love that it's a web form where you're like, dear sir or madam, please update my profile with the following JPEG that I have uploaded that meets your requirements. Yeah, so mine, I used a picture that I shot in front of a green screen for, I had a showdown with Mystery Pinball Theater 3000. We did a head-to-head Guardians of the Galaxy stream, which was adjudicated by Don't Panic Flip. And so I used the photo of me with my arms crossed and my green screen hat and green screen glasses in front of my green screen. Like, I was basically... They sent me the picture that Manu Smith, MPT3K, used. I was just like, Joe, can you do something like that? And I was like, I did the exact same pose in, like, the exact same clothes, except, like, he's got a shirt with his logo on it. I've got a shirt with my logo on it. That sort of thing. So it's a ludicrous picture. It says, I take myself far too seriously, and I'm ready to play. Rosewell says, I remember that stream. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Pinball Pitball says, can you do something like that? And you do exactly that. That's the thing, though, is it's so fun. It's you know, there is a space between malicious compliance and hilarious compliance. And that's where I want to be. Whoops, I am not doing a good job at this. Let's keep making some of these potions here. Grinding through Minecraft. Do. But yeah, Stephanie Hall says we need to see the pic for those who missed it. Yeah, let me find IFPA past results. I can get to my thing pretty quickly from the past results. No. Here you go. Here's my IFPA profile. So y'all can watch me slowly rise the ranks of the International Flipper Pinball Association. But yeah. So yeah, I got more Whopper points from my second tournament, even though I got 17th the second tournament and 12th the first tournament, because the second tournament was way bigger. Fake Zircon says, oh, that's a great picture. Thank you. Grammar Nerd says, it's surprising to see you without long hair in that photo. Oh, my hair was just as long in that photo. I just had it in a ponytail because Manu is bald, and I was trying to, like, mirror how Manu was. Pinball Pitball says, oh, nice, dude. You just started playing competitively. Let's go. Thank you. Yeah. Chloe the Great and Powerful says, you described the photo, and I still was not ready. Yeah, let me pull up search.twitter.com. Let me see if I can find the let me see if I can find the actual thing that the actual image that George made with it. Don't Panic Flip Joe Hills. So the thing is that the promotional image of these together turned out really great. Oh, I found it. Okay. Here is the actual image that that's my best Manu Smith impression. But yeah, is that Twitter working for y'all? First time chat from viewer. Welcome, Gavin. Pinball Pitball says, that's amazing. Arms crossed the exact same way. Izzy Abel says, I was not ready. Packy says, the hilarious. Thank you. I'll post that there too. P. Mary Kick says, lol. Yeah. The exact same silhouette. Thank you. I spent way too long on that picture. And so that's the thing. Is when I set it to register my IFPA profile, I was like, okay, I need to send it a picture. I was like, well, the only picture I have of me being serious about pinball is this one. So I'll just send them that. Hunter says the inverted colors of the undershirt do it. Super to Bean says that picture's so iconic. Grammar Nerd says you even got the angle of the hat right. Percy says it's absolutely delightful. Devin Crotty says serious. Chloe the Great and Powerful says, it is strong 10-year-old boy energy. Thank you, Chloe the Great and Powerful. Super to Bean says, how do you do, fellow kids energy? Thank you. You know, I do what little I can. Rose Wolf says, wait, I missed the picture. It's this one, Rose Wolf. I'll just repost it on the Twitch only. But yeah. So, but yeah, y'all can definitely check out Don't Panic Flip and Manu. They are fantastic folks who really helped me get started with pinball streaming. Like, Manu talked me through so much camera stuff, and Don't Panic Flip is the one that's actually renting me. He was renting me the Guardians we used to shoot that, and now he's renting me Total Nuclear Annihilation. So, yeah. Did I get the same hat from the Minecraft Creator Summit as Asuma and Scar? Yes. I don't know where it is, though. Elijah says, I subbed to Manu yesterday during the Quake stream. Awesome. Yeah, the Quake stream last night was really fun. Thanks to everybody who hung out with me and Surreal after my stream. Like, I really needed that break. I had been in editing focus for like 20 hours, and my brain was gonna melt. And I was like, I can tell I'm close to finishing this video, but I just need to just chill for a few hours and then come back to it. And so then after I got off Quake, I went in and I redid some of the few things that still needed fixing, and I got the video out the door and uploaded it overnight. It was up 9:30 this morning. I'm so happy with how it came out on the whole. Once again, I bit off more than I can chew, and I'm not going to make that mistake again, but yeah. Chloe the Great and Powerful tipping 13. Whew. Well, let's see. That first 7, that's going to get you... Wait, no. Oh, never mind. That whole 13, that's going to get us 4 away from the next face camera expansion. Wait, that's a 14. That's going to get you 3 away from the next face camera expansion, who says, I have to pay you for the laugh that photo gave me. Well, thank you, Chloe the Great and Powerful. We are now 3 away from the next face camera expansion. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. But yeah, so I came back and I finished editing after that stream. So if you guys were like, man, after Surreal raided people, Joe hung around for a long time, how come he's not going to sleep? It's because I was still working, but I got it done. And like I said, I learned a lot about how to not end up with that much editing work in the future. I'm going to do some better things in the first place with how I get my footage so that I don't end up buried like that. Because it's kind of okay in the summer when my kid is at the other side of the family. But when she's back here for the school year, she needs my attention and energy. I can't be pulling all-nighters editing like that. So I'm trying to do some experimental stuff and some reshuffling of my schedule now so I can have everything locked in before she gets back for the school year, you know? Noel tips 20, who says, thanks for being you. Hey, thank you, Noel, for supporting the arts and my show in particular. That is going to get us one face camera expansion. Let's go ahead. If you've never seen a Joe Hill stream before, Pinball Pitball Raiders, you might not realize a lot of streamers these days, they've got this, dynamic overlay that demonstrates tips. And so, the numerical representation of that is on the abacus, but we also, as a viewer reward for hitting these tipping milestones, we make the camera bigger. And so here we go. Please direct your attention to the lower left so I can say, expand to. And that puts us now 3 away from the next face camera expansion and the entrance of the Joust. So thank you, Noel, for the message. Keep being you. I got to say, that's what I appreciate, is when people understand that when they're supporting me making the stuff I want to make, that this is me trying to find ways to express who I want to be and and what I want to make and stuff like that. Like, y'all are really empowering me in a way where I don't have to worry about advertisers and I don't have to worry about a lot of the things that a lot of people on YouTube worry about, like when I say I make almost nothing I make less a month on ad revenue than I spend on health insurance. And YouTube prohibits me from giving specific numbers about my ad revenue, but I did have a tweet where I mentioned that sometimes it feels like American health insurance is the devil. And when they recently increased my monthly cost to $666 a month, I felt like it was a little too on the nose. So y'all supporting via Patreon and PayPal tips and YouTube tips, you're the ones that are letting me make the stuff I want to make and not have to worry about the algorithm or how it's gonna hook things, right? Y'all are just fantastic. You're really appreciated. Okay, so where were we? We're making potions, making a lot of potions. Da 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 do 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 do. Bum 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 bum. So yeah. Y'all are fantastic. Just kidding, Juice says, I appreciate the enthusiasm with which you talk about pinball. I don't know much about it, but your excitement makes it interesting. Well, that's the thing, is it's important for everybody to have hobbies. And the more Minecraft has become my job, the more important it is for me to have hobbies and stuff I'm excited about. But here's the other thing, too, though, is, when I started playing Minecraft on stream and on YouTube and stuff, Minecraft wasn't what it is today. I started playing Minecraft in 2011 on stream. Or no, I started on YouTube on 2011, I think on stream in 2012. But I was streaming mostly art stuff before that, illustration and drawing work. But the thing is, I was showing people, hey, here's something you can do with something you haven't necessarily seen before. Or here's something you might have a broad acquaintance with, but don't necessarily know its potential, right? And so as people are more familiar and more acquainted with Minecraft, it's exciting for me to do these pinball streams and have that early days energy of here's something really cool that I am learning all this stuff about and that I'm super excited about and I want to share it with you, right? Because that was something that was so central to my early Minecraft work. And just because Minecraft is ubiquitous now doesn't mean I don't want to find new things and share them with you, right? Darth Vorthen, thank you for that 7, who says, it's been a while since I tipped, so here you go. Well, boom, that's going to put us $4 past our next face camera expansion. Y'all may have seen that money go straight to my head with each face camera expansion up to this point. But now, like Jacob Marley, these chains I forged in life are about to begin pulling me down to the deep below. Enter the Joust. Boom, 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 boom. Lowering the opacity now to 90%. At this point, each additional face camera expansion will be accompanied by a corresponding drop in opacity. So thank you so much for that, Darth Vorthen. That is going to put us 16 away from our next face camera expansion. And tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. Yeah, there's no commands here. Like, I really feel like people spend a lot of time at work, like, telling robots what to do. Like, I don't want them to come here and tell robots what to do. I want them to just hang out with other people, you know? So, but yeah, Vosh Guy, first time chatter, says, you deserve every cent, Joe. Thank you, Vosh Guy. I appreciate it. Nightshade Owl says, it's nice to know we're the ones puppeteering him into continuing to make videos rather than the algorithm. No, that's the thing, though, is I decided I was going to make videos, and I was like, either I'm going to self-fund it by working a bunch of freelance jobs I don't want to do, or I'm going to let y'all help me, and I'm still going to make the videos I want to make. I'm going to make the videos I want to make either way, but the rate at which I can produce them is based on how much energy I have left over from working other jobs, right? Like, it's not like I'm helpless and like, oh no, my child will starve if I don't get tips and Patreon or whatever. Like, I would just go to my clients who are constantly asking, can you work more hours, and say, fine, because I don't want to work more hours. I don't want to do that sort of work. That work drains me. It's very analytical and problem-solving oriented, but which is rewarding in its own way, but then I don't have the same extra energy for applying analysis and problem-solving to my creative work, right? So y'all are paying for me to make the art that I was going to make anyway at a faster pace. You're not telling me what to make. There's a difference, you know? Hey, we got a tip rolling in. Thank you for the one. Magdalene, who says, first stream for a while, already remembering why I liked them so much. Thanks for being you, Joe. You're welcome. Thank you, Magdalene, for supporting the arts and my show in particular. I appreciate you. So let's see. We are almost done making these potions. I actually, I wasn't sure how long it was going to take to read chapter 2. So we're actually kind of ahead of schedule. I am regretting that we ran out of Blackstone already. So part of me wants to do a little bit of grindy digging for more Blackstone. But I feel like that might be HHH on Monday anyway. So, yeah. Yeah, I want to be transparent about my creative process as much as possible because I benefited so strongly from a lot of artists being really transparent about what they were doing when I was younger. Meredith Gran, who ran the Webcomics Weekly convention, or not Webcomics Weekly, oh my gosh, no, it wasn't the Webcomics Weekly guys were out there. New England Webcomics, what was it? I'm blanking on it. How do I not? I had this amazing shirt from the event. But anyway, Meredith Gran was incredibly generous with her time and had talked a lot about how she approached things. The Webcomics Weekly guys came to that event, but I also enjoyed their podcast. Scott Kurtz, Chris Straub, Dave Kellett, and Brad Geiger. There were so many incredible artists who were very open about their process so that young people could... Oh no, did I screw that one up? These are mundane potions, not awkward. No, Dracula 3 is going to be next week. Okay. Let's get more water. Uh-oh. Yeah, we finished chapter 2. If I start reading chapter 3, we're going to be here for another several hours. Because those chapters are not short. Okay. So let's go ahead and place that here, here, here. Boom. So Badger Spanner's plans to visit in America have been postponed due to a COVID-related issue. So I don't want to speak for her too much on that, but not next chapter. We are she has made alternative travel plans, but it's still its own whole thing. What are the fireproof potions for? Digging in the nether for HHH. Because we, Isuma and Jev want help with the, what do you call it? The red tunnel. So, yeah, I will be doing chapter 3 next Saturday. Let's see, next Saturday is the 2nd of July. Yeah, I'll be free this next Saturday. The 10th of July, though, the weekend after that is Play on Con, so I will be away. The 17th of July is Draw for Charity, which is its own whole thing. It's a 48-hour charity stream benefiting Child's Play I'm part of. And so I haven't figured out whether it's better for me to skip my personal streams during the 48 hours or to do my personal streams and then raid Draw for Charity. I think the latter might be better, but I got to talk to the other folks involved. So yeah. Okay. Fire resistance potions, many. We have generated 2 boxes or more full at this point. So that should be enough to hold us over for HHH. Oh boy, we really also need to go and kill some spiders before our Elytra completely dies here. There's our marker. Okay. So let's get that spider spawner killer. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we've accomplished my primary 2 goals for this stream, which were prepare for HHH and use all the blackstone. So that's not terrible. Okay. Well, it looks like Pintastic has done streaming for the night. I was thinking of raiding them. Because some people I know are over there in Massachusetts right now for that. I think it's in Sternbridge, Massachusetts. I was hoping to get over there myself this year, but it just was not feasible. Let's see what else is going on. Looks like Jedi McMuffin is playing Deadpool on the Pinball Network. I like a lot of things about the Pinball Network, including including that they refused to sign Twitch's terrible partnership deal, much like myself. So yeah, I think we'll probably go ahead and send folks over there. 'Cause I've got kind of an early morning tomorrow. Got some plans with family. So thank y'all so much for joining me for Dracula. I had a really fun time, and I hope you did too. And we'll be back next week with Chapter 3. Anyway, until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring. Oh, you know what? I realized I can't click raid for like 40 seconds anyway. No, 10 seconds. Oh, yeah, also our raid message is how to yell Joe Hills raid here. Also, because it's Deadpool, the stream is rated mature. But if you're old enough for Dracula, you're probably old enough for Deadpool. Let's be honest. So, bye! I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm tired.